F Troop was a sitcom that once had audiences roaring with laughter over the misadventures of the bumbling soldiers stationed on the western frontier. But behind the stage lights, the cast faced real-life tragedies, inescapable addictions, painful divorces, and haunting deaths. Let's explore the truth and pay tribute to the legacies they left behind. Let's dive in. Forrest Tucker as Sergeant Morgan O'Rourke. Forrest Tucker was born on February 12, 1919, in Plainfield, Indiana. He made a powerful impression playing Sergeant Morgan O'Rourke in the comedy series F Troop, 1965, at the age of 46. O'Rourke was a cunning, smooth-talking cavalry sergeant who ran business schemes based on cons at a remote western outpost. This role turned Tucker into a familiar face to American audiences throughout the 1960s. However, his private life was full of silent pain. Tucker grew up in a family with an alcoholic mother, and that shaky childhood left him with wounds that were hard to heal. After rising to fame early with Auntie Mame, 1958, he plunged into endless parties, started drinking heavily, and gradually slipped into addiction. 3 failed marriages left deep scars, with his first wife accusing him of violence and needing police intervention, while his second wife died suddenly of heart disease, plunging Tucker into severe depression. His insecurities, combined with the pressures of fame, pushed him into a spiral of gambling, debt, and a drinking problem that became more and more unmanageable. As his career declined in the late 1970s, Tucker still tried to reclaim his glory through smaller roles in Mitchum, 1970, and various television series, but he could not salvage an image tarnished by alcohol. It was said that once he collapsed right on set, so drunk he couldn't stand, leaving colleagues disheartened and damaging his relationships. The pressure, the loneliness, and late regrets about mistakes in his marriages gradually wore him down both physically and mentally, almost completely draining his finances through all-night gambling binges. On October 25, 1986, Forrest Tucker took his last breath at age 67 from lung cancer and emphysema, consequences of decades of smoking and drinking. He passed away after being hospitalized multiple times, and even the ceremony to receive his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame was left unfinished. Tucker was buried at Forest Lawn, Hollywood Hills Cemetery, leaving behind a modest net worth of only around $500,000 USD, nearly wiped out by gambling and a reckless lifestyle, closing the tragic fate of one of television's most beloved stars of the 1960s, Melody Patterson as Wrangler Jane. Melody Patricia Patterson was born on April 16, 1949, in Inglewood, California. At just 16 years old, she boldly lied about her age to land the role of Wrangler Jane in F Troop, 1965, portraying a strong, spirited frontier woman deeply in love with Captain Parmenter. This role turned Melody into a teen star loved by audiences across America, catapulting her to fame overnight. But behind that dazzling flash of glory was a youth full of challenges and deep emotional wounds that Melody never truly healed. Still far too young, her sudden fame drew Melody Patterson into complicated and power-imbalanced relationships with older men. Most notably, her marriage to actor James MacArthur, familiar to audiences from Hawaii Five-0, which she placed great hopes in, but which quickly ended in bitterness. Rumors circulated of emotional abuse and betrayal in that marriage, leaving Melody deeply hurt and distrustful of those around her. When her career stalled after F Troop was canceled, Melody pinned all her hopes on an audition for the film Bonnie and Clyde, but when she failed to get the role, she fell into a long-lasting psychological crisis and began to abandon her passion for acting. In the 1970s, Melody's bad luck continued when she suffered a serious car accident. The crash left her dependent on painkillers for a long time, gradually pulling her into a cycle of addiction and requiring multiple stints in rehab. In the following years, Melody Patterson tried to bounce back by appearing in some stage plays and writing for cowboy magazines, but her career never regained the shine of her teenage stardom. Many colleagues recalled how she became increasingly obsessed with UFO conspiracy theories and lived closed off, distrusting even those who had once loved her, to the point of cutting off contact with many old friends. In her final years, Melody moved to Missouri and lived in a nursing home, alone and quiet, carrying a broken heart after 3 failed marriages, with no children and no close family. She took her last breath on August 20th, 2015, at the age of 66, from multiple organ failure that may have been linked to long-term health consequences of the accident and addiction. Her net worth at the time of death was only about $300,000 USD, reflecting a short, unstable career and personal tragedies that were never truly healed. Ken Berry as Captain Wilton Parmenter. Ken Berry was born on November 3, 1933, in Moline, Illinois. He became a familiar face to audiences when he played Captain Wilton Parmenter in F Troop, 1965, at the age of 32. Parmenter was a clumsy, sincere, and kind-hearted commander who brought endless laughter to audiences during the show's 2 seasons. This role transformed Berry from a dancer and singer into a sitcom star, showcasing his brilliant slapstick skills and physical comedy, which had always been his strength. Yet behind the laughter, Ken Berry's life was complicated and full of storms. Since childhood, Berry had dreamed of becoming like Fred Astaire, but when the musical film industry faded, he was forced to shift to television and struggled to find his place. After Mayberry RFD was suddenly canceled in 1971, Berry suffered a huge shock and began to become rigid and demanding on set, often insisting on perfection to the point of alienating colleagues. His marriage to actress Jackie Joseph ended in 1977, surrounded by suspicion of coldness and rumors of infidelity. After the breakup, Berry seemed to withdraw, keeping his distance even from his 2 adopted children, which made the family atmosphere tense and left many lingering wounds. In the 1980s, although he had a chance to shine again with Mama's Family, Berry could not escape feelings of insecurity. Series after series were canceled, leaving him bitter, doubting his own worth, and surrounded by rumors, never clearly confirmed, about complex relationships with both men and women. Berry avoided major scandals, but was constantly under suspicion, which weighed heavily on him mentally. The death of his adopted son from cancer in 2016, and then his adopted daughter's passing 4 years later, deepened the loneliness of a father who had once longed for a perfect family. On December 1, 2018, Ken Berry passed away at the age of 85 from cardiovascular complications, after a long period of declining health. Although his estimated net worth was about $4 million USD thanks to his long television and stage career, he closed his life in deep solitude, leaving behind a naive Parmenter character forever remembered by audiences. Larry Storch as Corporal Randolph Agarn. Larry Storch was born on January 8, 1923 in New York. He was the unforgettable funny face of audiences through his role as Corporal Randolph Agarn, the loyal yet troublesome companion of O'Rourke in F Troop, 1965, when he was 42 years old. With his unique voice and outstanding mimicry skills, Storch became an essential highlight of the 2-season show and even received an Emmy nomination in 1967. But behind the stage lights, his life was full of turmoil. Even as his career boomed with variety shows and voiceover work for cartoons, Storch struggled with uncontrollable anger, making producers and colleagues wary. His wife, Norma Catherine Grieve, endured multiple silent separations, while his daughter Candace called him an absent father because he would often disappear even inside his own home. After F Troop ended, Larry tried to find more serious roles but failed repeatedly, which fueled feelings of envy toward more successful co-stars, especially Forrest Tucker. Career pressure combined with loneliness pushed him to alcohol as an escape, leading to a series of conflicts and vague rumors of romantic entanglements. In the 1980s, as work became increasingly scarce, Larry fell into deep depression, sometimes locking himself away for weeks without seeing anyone. His daughter later revealed a childhood haunted by her father's strange coldness, mixed with sudden outbursts of rage. Even so, to audiences, Corporal Agern's image remained linked with laughter and wit, hiding the unstable shadows of the older performer. He once said, "Laughing is also a way to survive." But that very laughter was sometimes a burden. Larry Storch passed away in his sleep on July 8, 2022, at the age of 99. According to reports, he died of natural causes, after years of battling Alzheimer's complications. His net worth at the time of death was about $1 million USD, mostly from television contracts and voice acting income, closing a journey of nearly a century with countless smiles and sorrows that were never fully soothed. Frank Dova as Chief Wild Eagle. Frank Dova was born on March 17, 1910. He was 55 years old when he took on the role of Chief Wild Eagle in the series F Troop, 1965 to 1967. He transformed into the wise and sharp-witted leader of the Hakawi tribe, who often outsmarted the soldiers at Fort Courage and left a strong impression on viewers. This role made Dova a familiar television face, continuing a string of villainous characters he had played on stage and screen. Behind the witty smile of Chief Wild Eagle, Frank Dova carried many years of loneliness and insecurity. Never marrying, he had to face rumors about his private and reserved personal life, including doubts about his ability to connect emotionally and hidden psychological crises. Friends revealed that Dova had once sunk into deep depression, especially as his career gradually declined after his peak in the 1960s. Although he was admired for his talent, he frequently fell into stress when arguing with directors to defend his creative ideas, which caused many projects to turn away from him. He spent most of his later years in a quiet house in California, with only a few loyal friends by his side. His larger-than-life roles could not save him from a harsh reality, as work became scarce and his health began to fail. His pride and stubborn personality caused Frank Dova to miss many professional opportunities in his final years, forcing him to watch his own fame fade away. He took his last breath on October 15, 1981, at the age of 71, from heart failure while he was sleeping, ending a turbulent journey. Frank Dova was buried at Forest Lawn, Hollywood Hills Cemetery, leaving behind a net worth of about $800,000 USD, a modest amount compared to his acting legacy, but a truthful reflection of a life marked by loneliness, storms, and unfulfilled hopes both in fame and in love. James Hampton as Hannibal Dobbs. James Wade Hampton was born on July 9, 1936. He was 29 years old when he played Hannibal Dobbs, the clumsy yet lovable bugler in F Troop, 1965 to 1967. This role gave Hampton widespread television fame and paved the way for many later opportunities in his film career. Viewers remember Dobbs as a simple, goofy, yet kind-hearted character who made an important contribution to the comedy of the show. Behind the cheerful face on screen, James Hampton struggled to overcome the bitterness of being typecast in comedic roles throughout his career. Even after being nominated for a Golden Globe for The Longest Yard and catching attention with Teen Wolf, Hampton often complained that he was never given the chance to take on true, dramatic leading roles. Career pressures made him rigid and easily disagreeable with younger colleagues, especially on later film sets, leading to rumors about his difficult and demanding personality. In his personal life, his marriage to actress Mary Deese lasted but was often tense, with Hampton's son later sharing that he had sometimes been cold and lacking empathy within the family. In addition, a hereditary blood disorder that Hampton kept hidden for years caused his health to decline, along with persistent fatigue and low spirits. In the last years of his career, he was entangled in a drawn-out lawsuit with a film production company over royalties, which further dulled his public image. James Hampton passed away on April 7, 2021, at the age of 84, due to complications from Parkinson's disease, closing a difficult yet memorable journey in the American entertainment world. He left behind a net worth of about $1.5 million USD, Not a huge amount, but well earned after decades of devotion, directing, and acting, along with countless memories of the kind-hearted Dobbs character that audiences will always love. Bob Steele as Trooper Duffy. Bob Steele was born on January 23, 1907. He was 58 years old when he took on the role of Trooper Duffy in F Troop, 1965 to 1967, portraying an old soldier who boasted of having fought alongside Davy Crockett at the Alamo. This role showcased Steele's humorous side, even though he had been famous for portraying tough cowboy heroes for decades before. Thanks to F Troop, he became familiar to a new generation of viewers, even as his film career was already declining. Outside the spotlight, Steele endured many personal storms when his first two marriages ended after his wives accused him of infidelity and emotional abuse, leaving behind bitter family relationships. These cracks worsened when Steele fell into alcoholism, leading to uncontrollable behavior, and he was repeatedly complained about by film crews for his uncooperative attitude, delays in shooting, and missing out on key roles during the height of his career. In the 1950s, Steele also spiraled into gambling debts, losing most of the money he had earned from hundreds of cowboy movies. Financial failures, combined with the pressures of aging, pushed him into a period of depression, forcing him to rely on friends and support groups to recover. Fortunately, Steele decided to join Alcoholics Anonymous and succeeded in quitting drinking, regaining sobriety and some of his dignity in the final years of his life. Bob Steele passed away on December 21, 1988, at the age of 81, due to complications of emphysema likely caused by a long-term smoking habit. His net worth at the time of death was only about $400,000 USD, after so many ups and downs and mistakes, but his roles, from the tough cowboy to the funny Trooper Duffy, still left a deep mark in the hearts of Western film fans. Don Diamond as Crazy Cat. Don Diamond was born on June 4, 1921. He was 44 years old when he joined F Troop, 1965 and 1967, playing Crazy Cat, the naive and loyal assistant of Chief Wild Eagle, a character beloved by audiences thanks to his innocence and wit. However, Diamond's talent for speaking Spanish and Mexican accents became a double-edged sword, typecasting him in supporting roles and rarely giving him the lead parts he longed for. This professional disappointment simmered for years, especially as he watched his colleagues advance more quickly. During the filming of F Troop, Diamond also had a habit of heavy drinking to relieve stress, leading to simmering conflicts with his co-stars and sometimes creating tension on set. A personal tragedy in the 1970s, the sudden death of a loved one, caused Diamond to suffer a mental breakdown, sinking into depression and withdrawing from friends, focusing only on work as a way to escape his pain. He maintained a steady career, doing voiceovers for animated films and commercials, but gradually lost his passion for the stage lights, becoming more demanding and controlling on some of his final projects. Don Diamond passed away on June 19, 2011, at the age of 90, from heart failure in Los Angeles. His net worth of about $700,000 USD came mainly from a stable acting career that, while not dazzling, still left a strong impression thanks to his unforgettable portrayal of Crazy Cat for many generations of viewers. Edward Everett Horton as Roaring Chicken. Edward Everett Horton was born on March 18, 1886. He was 79 years old when he appeared in F Troop, 1965 to 1966, playing Roaring Chicken, an eccentric yet witty tribal medicine man who brought a satirical, philosophical spirit to the series. Although beloved by audiences, Horton carried a bitterness within himself for constantly being cast in supporting roles, rarely getting the chance to play leads. He often masked his disappointment with his polite demeanor and refined sense of humor, but close friends recalled that Horton frequently complained about feeling undervalued in the industry. His personal life was also closed off and mysterious, as he never married, leading to many rumors about his romantic orientation and private affairs. Known for being a perfectionist, Horton often hosted lavish parties at his Belly Acres estate, attracting both Hollywood elites and eccentric artists, which sparked many whispered scandals. Behind the scenes, his perfectionist nature sometimes put pressure on colleagues, especially when he insisted every acting detail be flawless. At the same time, Horton quietly battled chronic health problems as he aged, gradually losing his strength. Edward Everett Horton passed away from cancer on September 29, 1970, at the age of 84, leaving behind an estimated net worth of about $2 million USD, thanks to a long and enduring career on stage and screen. His legacy lives on, especially through his charming comedic roles and the storytelling voice that has been tied to the memories of generations of audiences. John Mitchum as Hoffenmüller. John Mitchum was born on September 6, 1919. He was 46 years old when he joined F Troop, 1965 to 1967, portraying Hoffenmüller, a kind-hearted German soldier who brought many gentle laughs to viewers. Despite a steady acting career, John Mitchum went through many personal pains, especially after the death of his son, John Jack Mitchum, from stomach ulcers, a shock that sent him into prolonged depression. His failed marriages, along with rumors of infidelity and public conflicts, weighed even more heavily on his spirit. At times, he coped with his pain through alcohol, leading to erratic behavior on set, though his colleagues still respected him for his genuine talent. Outside of acting, Mitchum was a multi-talented artist with a passion for writing poetry and composing music, which he saw as a way to soothe his insecurities. However, the emotional wounds and family pressures never truly left him, leaving behind a quiet loneliness that stayed with him. Being the younger brother of star Robert Mitchum, he always stood in his brother's large shadow. John Mitchum passed away on November 29, 2001, after complications from 3 strokes at the age of 82. He left an estimated net worth of about $600,000 USD, mostly from his long-running supporting roles and songwriting work, along with an artistic legacy that was sincere and quietly meaningful. James Gregory as Major Duncan. James Gregory was born on December 23, 1911. He joined F Troop in 1966 at the age of 55, taking on the role of Major Duncan, a strict officer who often found himself confused by the chaos at Fort Courage. With his powerful deep voice and commanding presence, Gregory quickly became an impressive supporting highlight for the series. However, behind the spotlight, Gregory faced many personal instabilities. He stayed in a tense marriage for 58 years, surrounded by rumors of affairs on both sides, which eventually ended in a quiet divorce. His politically conservative views also put him at odds with many colleagues in the more liberal Hollywood environment, leading to rumors that he was placed on an unofficial blacklist. On set, Gregory's authoritarian personality and high demands made many co-stars wary, though no one denied his talent and professionalism. That pressure caused Gregory to be isolated at times even within his own crews, especially during periods when his career slowed down. He passed away on September 16, 2002, at the age of 90 from natural causes, leaving behind an estimated net worth of about $1.2 million USD, earned through decades of dedication to stage and film, along with a legacy both admired and controversial that is hard to forget. Joe Brooks as Trooper Vanderbilt. John Joseph Joe Brooks Jr. was born on December 14, 1923 in Los Angeles. He was 41 years old when he took on the role of Trooper Vanderbilt in F Troop, 1965, portraying a nearsighted, bumbling but lovable soldier who contributed to the unique comedy of Fort Courage. Brooks's portrayal of Vanderbilt as a sentry who basically couldn't see a thing won over audiences and became a memorable comic trademark for the whole series. Brooks had started his acting career early, making his debut in 1944 in the war film The Fighting Seabees alongside John Wayne. However, his Hollywood dreams were interrupted when he enlisted to serve in the South Pacific during World War II. Returning from the battlefield, Brooks tried to restart his career but spent decades stuck in background and supporting roles until luck finally smiled on him with the F Troop audition. Brooks himself came up with the idea to play Vanderbilt as a nearly blind guard, turning what might have been a dull character into a charming source of laughs, which helped keep him on the series throughout its run. In his personal life, Brooks kept things private and avoided the scandals that plagued many of his peers. His marriage to Betty Jean Davis lasted more than 40 years and gave them 4 children, considered strong and peaceful until her passing in 1991. The shock of losing his wife made Brooks withdraw, appearing less often on set and avoiding the media. Friends revealed he sometimes felt tormented by never breaking out of supporting actor status and considered it unfair, but he still maintained a diligent and kind-hearted attitude in his work. Brooks's acting journey included more than 20 films and countless television episodes, from East of Eden, The Young Lions, Robin and the Seven Hoods, to The $6 Million Man and Bewitched. He rarely reached star status, but left his mark through perseverance, good character, and natural performances. Brooks passed away on December 5, 2007, in Los Angeles, just days before his 84th birthday, leaving behind an estimated net worth of about $600,000 USD, thanks to his steady supporting roles and consistent presence on screen. Herman Ruden as Running Deer. Herman Ruden, born December 26, 1912 in Brooklyn, New York, was 53 years old when he joined F Troop, 1965, taking on the role of Running Deer, a member of the Hakawi tribe whose calm, quiet presence added depth to the comedic Western setting. Although his screen time was fairly limited, Ruden still left an impression thanks to his natural style and the way he blended smoothly with the main cast. Throughout a career that stretched from the late 1950s, he appeared in many television shows such as The Rifleman, The Outer Limits, and The Man from UNCL, though mostly in supporting or guest roles. However, friends described Ruden as someone who was strict with himself, a perfectionist to the point of creating his own pressure, which sometimes led to periods of tension, insomnia, and isolation. Industry colleagues recalled that Ruden did not always get along with new production crews, so he was gradually offered fewer roles after his peak in the late 1960s. Eventually, after leaving F Troop, he almost completely disappeared from the spotlight. He passed away in 2000 in Ventura, California, at the age of 88, leaving behind about $300,000 USD in net worth from his modest but steady acting career. In the eyes of many loyal fans, he is still remembered as Running Deer, a small piece, but a valuable one in F Troop, proving that even supporting roles can leave a lasting mark in the audience's memory. The lives of the F Troop stars are proof of the stark contrast between laughter on screen and silent tragedy in real life. From shocking dramas to heartbreaking losses, their stories still spark endless curiosity. Which character from F Troop do you love the most, and which secret surprised you? Share your thoughts and discover more behind-the-scenes stories on this channel.